Hi there and welcome to Katawa Shoujo. Lynx here. Maybe PolishLynx. Let's see. Our trip to Emmy's house, I guess. Let's see. I don't think I like riding on buses. It depends. It really depends. Actually, I think I'm pretty comfortable saying that as a fact. They sway a lot and they smell funny and you can feel every bump in the road. What do you mean they smell funny? I mean, they smell funny, there is some drunkard around, but other than that... Or in the middle of summer, I guess. When people that... Actually, it's not in the middle of summer only. If there are people who don't take showers there, yeah, I guess it would smell funny. Anyway. Also, yes, you can feel every bump in the road. If you are in the wrong place. Especially if you sit on the tire, more or less. Anyway. I'm really not looking forward to this. But then again, if you drive in a car, you also can feel the bumps. Plus, Emmy's legs keep making a clunky noise that draws the attention of everyone else on the bus. Yeah, really, that bothers you. She's in shorts again, and she's got long socks drawn up on her prosthetics so they don't look so obviously false again. But that doesn't stop. That doesn't stop the odd look or two every time her legs bump together with an audible clunk. I shift nervously in my seat as Emmy raises an eyebrow questioningly. She doesn't seem to mind the stares. Either that or she doesn't even notice that people are staring. I'm sure she's gotten her fill of odd looks before. After a certain amount of time, I doubt she'd notice anymore. Not that she'd ever tell me if I asked. Another fact is that I'm not just uncomfortable about the bus. I can't seem to come to terms with the fact that Emmy appears to be trying to bring me closer while at the same time pushing me away. The nurse said she trusts me, even if it doesn't look like it. But I'm not sure I can trust the nurse. He is protective of Emmy just like I'm protective of Emmy. Okay. And I'd be likely to say something to make her look good if someone asked me about her. So he might just be doing that. Still, there was something about the way he seemed genuinely surprised that Emmy invited me along. Maybe last night's talk helped me more. Helped more than I think. But I'm still worried. Meeting the parents is a big deal, right? Not that I haven't already met Emmy's mother, but that was just an acquaintance. Now it's going to be as Emmy's boyfriend, with everything that implies. Probably. I can feel my heart pounding in my chest. An echo of that snow-covered afternoon that feels like it was so long ago that it might as well be another life entirely. Except then, I didn't know what was going on. I also didn't have medication to help prevent things spiraling out of control. I've come a long way in terms of my physical health, and for the second time today, I feel like I'll be able to live normally now, or at least as normally as possible. Now, if only I could manage my relationship as well as I manage my heart, I'd be in a great shape. Well, we're here! I know this area. Amy grabs my hand as soon as we stepped out of the bus. She starts heading down the street almost immediately. Come on! We've got a couple blocks until my place! What? Okay. This place we don't know. I follow me down the street, watching her confident stride. She's setting kind of a quick pace for just a walk. I guess she's anxious to get there. So... does your mom do this sort of thing often? Nah, not too frequently. Mom's never been much for playing hostess. Oh yeah? Yeah. My dad was always the one pushing her to have people over. This sudden and unprompted reference her father catches me off guard. And from the look on Emi's face, I'm not sure she meant to mention him. I think I've only heard her talk about him once. All I remember is that Emi's mom told me that he wasn't around anymore. Oh? Your mom prefers solitude. Emi laughs, either from relief that I didn't ask about her father or from finding my statement actually funny. Not at all! She's why I'm such an outgoing person, you know. She just prefers to be a guest rather than a hostess. It's less stressful that way, or so she says. Clearly she's never had to meet her girlfriend's mother for dinner. Emi giggles again and speaks in a teasing tone. Nervous, Hisao? You should be, you know. It's not a big deal. Just dinner at my house, that's all. Yeah, but... have you ever brought home a boyfriend before? I confess that part of me dreads hearing the answer to this. Oh my god. I didn't want to ask. I know very little of Emi's past relationship. I don't even know if there were past relationships. No, I guess I haven't. Hey! Maybe this really is kind of a big deal after all. Oh. Good. Now I feel twice as nervous. For, to tell the truth, I'm pretty happy to hear that I'm the first one. Maybe we've got something special after all. Huh, maybe. I guess I've never had something this special. No, like, I've never been... I've actually never been introduced to anyone's parents. And also I've never introduced anyone to my parents. Oh, no. And well... yeah, it would stay like this. Bolstered by this new thought, I've managed to calm down considerably by the time Emi knocks on her front door. Hey mom, open up, we're here! The door swings open and Miss Ibarasaki stands grinning at her daughter. The grin is so surprisingly similar to Emi's. I'm never going to get used to that. You know, people normally wait for a few minutes before they start shouting at the door. And most mothers say hello to their daughters instead of scolding them right away. Ah, of course. Welcome home, dear. I've missed you. An affectionate hug later, we're inside. And it is only then that Emi's mom seems to remember that I'm actually here. And hello to you too, Hisao. How are you? I'm quite well, thank you. Nice to have school to worry about for a little bit. Sorry, nice to not have school. Ah, yes. You've finished up your exams, haven't you? That must be quite a relief for you both. Yes, it's certainly a wave off my mind, that's for sure, yeah. Mine too! You know, that expression looks scary like Shizune's. And I don't like that. I think I slept well for the first 7 weeks last night from relief alone. If this news is a surprise to Emi's mother, she doesn't show it. Still, her response betrays a note in interest. Is that so? I'm very glad to hear that, Emi. You know, I get worried when you get all wound up about, well, exams. Certainly, Emi's mother knows something I don't, or rather she does know that Emi's told me about the nightmares. It's interesting being able to observe how Miss Ibarasaki covers for Emi. That protective instinct to make sure that I don't know anymore that Emi is willing to tell me. I suppose Emi's got more in common with Corks than I ever realized. Moves around fast, impossible to understand through direct observation, yet she has an effect on everyone she encounters. I wonder if Miss Ibarasaki will figure out that I know about the nightmares, or is she just keeping everything secret from everybody? Yeah, it's not been as bad this year as in the past. And Hisao helped me to stay focused. Huh? Okay, I know that's not true. She even cut off contact outside of school hours during exam week. But she did see me during the day, and she told me more than once that the morning run was the only thing she looked forward to during exams. So maybe that's not that much of a lie. Either way, to hear that being around has helped, even a little, makes me feel a bit better. Miss Mother raises an eyebrow at this statement. Either she doesn't believe Emmy or she's as surprised as I am. Well, then it appears that it's a good thing you two have become so close. I thought to take good care of my daughter, Hisao, but it looks like you're already doing that. Emmy grins at this and seems to take pride in my having managed to ingratiate myself with her mother so easily. Yeah. Actually, I'd say your daughter's been the one taking care of me, but yeah. She's gotten me out and running. And I've probably been more active since meeting her than I ever was, even before. I'd actually never thought it that much, nor had I ever appreciated the humor in it. I was not active before the heart attack. Pickup games of soccer don't really count since they weren't that common. So now that I know for sure that I have a weak heart, now I run every day, pushing my luck with the help of my medication. I chuckled quietly, then realized that I never finished my sentence. Well, before I had my heart attack and wound up at school here, yeah. Anyway, it comes out so casually. There was time that I would have thought twice about talking about what was wrong with me at all. But now it just seems silly to care, especially in the company of Emmy and her mother. If Emmy can be cavalier about her disability, then so can I. I think back to the track meet, where Emmy declared herself the fastest thing on legs. Also, you know what, that's a nice change compared to other routes, I guess, because in the other routes he wasn't so open about it. Now he's speaking about it easily. Nice. Anyway, the fact of her obvious loss has never seemed to bother her, at least not in public. Being stuck in the wheelchair frustrated her, I know, but even that was something she dealt with on her own, despite my efforts to the contrary. Also, I'm super loud, surprisingly. Emmy has a way of bringing out the more active side in people. I've never quite figured out how she does it. Those puppy dog eyes she gets, for starters. I'm not surprised that she managed to rope you into an exercise routine. If Rin weren't just as stubborn as she is, I'm sure that Emmy would have gotten her out and running with you too. Oh, that reminds me, Rin says hello. I drift to the outer edges of the conversation again as we move into the dining room to eat. It smells delicious in here, and the spread that Emmy's mom has produced is impressive. Wow! You've made enough to feed an army in here! Is it too much? Well, you can always take some leftovers with you when you go. That sounds great. I can only handle cafeteria food for so long. Something on whom would be welcome change of pace. What he said! Thanks, Mom! The food tastes as good as it smells. Then there is a lull in the conversation while we all dig in. Emmy assaults her plate with her usual amount of gusto, and I'll admit that I set a pretty fast pace myself. So, Hisao... I hear that you and my daughter have gotten rather close, What do you mean? The urge to say something like, not really, is so strong that I opened my mouth to say it, but then reasserted control. We are close. There is no getting around it. I mean, Emmy's brought me here, hasn't she? Fortunately, both Emmy and her mother seem to take my reaction as a sign that I'm caught off guard rather than considering saying something cruel. I mean, I suppose we have... I blame the morning grounds myself, yeah. You make it sound like a bad thing, Hisao. Well, I for one found it a relief. Why is that? Emmy's always been a popular girl, but never made many close friends. This is a bit of news to me. I've always seen Emmy chatting with her classmates in the hallways. Yeah, that doesn't mean they are close. And certainly the whole track team seems to love her, but it is true that she chooses to isolate herself during lunch with Rin and me. Not exactly the sort of behavior one expects from a popular girl after all. Then again, I've experienced her unwillingness to get close firsthand, so I can't say I'm that surprised. I was beginning to have my doubts. Amy rolls her eyes to the ceiling and grumbles something I can't quite make out. Huh? What? What's that you just said? Nothing. Miss Ibarazaki chokes on her drink with laughter. You've been hanging out with the nurse too long, Amy. I'm going to have to talk to him about corrupting my daughter. Somehow I don't think that would be very effective. I learned most of it from you anyway, not the nurse. Don't listen to her, Hisao. She's a born liar. Huh, yeah, right. Oh, I don't know, Amy. I think your mother has a point. What? You traitor! You're supposed to take my side in this. Yeah, but you did lie about your leg after the meet. Ow! A kick in the shins from an unmistakable plastic foot cuts me off, but not before Miss Ibarazaki's eyebrows shoot upwards. What about your leg? Yeah, it wasn't a big deal, that's all. I was just in a wheelchair for a bit. The last few mumbled words are quickly deciphered by Amy's mother. I suspect she's experienced with this sort of thing, and a worried frown appears on her face. So that's why he kept dodging my calls. Oh, Amy, I know how much you hate being in a wheelchair. No wonder you've been in such a mood lately. Yeah, she's much happier on her feet, so to speak. Well, of course. She spent enough time in a chair just after her accident. She didn't get the prosthetics immediately. No. She had to finish healing up before they let her start the sort of therapy you've got to go through to adjust to those things. Especially since she wanted to run on them. I had no idea. Yeah, it sucked. Oh, did you see Rin's mural at the festival? Amy's sudden change of talking makes me realize belatedly that she's been fidgeting the whole time her mother and I have been talking. I should have figured out her being a little skittish when it comes to talking about accident, even around her mother. No, I didn't make it out to the festival, remember? Although I caught a glimpse of it at your track meet, it seemed pretty weird to me. I think that's more or less what she was going for. She talked a lot about it being dreamlike or trying to make it dreamlike. Rin's art is one of those things I don't think I'll ever understand. That's not surprising. I don't think Rin expects to be understood. She told me once that art allows people to understand stuff they wouldn't understand otherwise. But all the same, she doesn't think it actually works that way. I'm surprised that Amy's talked about this with Rin extensively enough to actually have Rin's opinion, such as it is. Although I expect that Rin could not, if she were so inclined, say the same thing about Amy's. Unless, of course, Amy is purposely keeping me in dark about everything, which is likely but unpleasant to think about. I drift down this unpleasant train of thought for a while, losing track of the conversation. Hey Amy, I've been meaning to ask. Huh? Are you going to visit your father this year? Wait. What? So he was not in that accident? I'm not sure anyway. From the way she says it, you think Amy's mother was talking about the weather. From the way Amy reacts, it's certainly not the weather we're talking about. She flinches, a slight jerk of the head backwards, as if she's just been slapped in the face. Can we talk about this later? Her voice sounds brittle, strained. It looks as if she's being severely shaken by the question. It seems that Miss Ibarazaki misjudged just how close Amy and I are. Some things it seems are best not conversed about with me around. Her father is one of those things. The accident that took her legs is probably another one of those things, if a reaction to the earlier conversation between her mother and myself is an indication. It doesn't take Amy's mother long to realize she's screwed up. Of course we can, dear. I'm sorry to bring it up. I just want to ask so I could make plans. It's fine, don't worry about it. Amy fidgets nervously, as if embarrassed by her own reaction. I confess that her reaction is confusing. She only just mentioned her father to me earlier today, less than a few hours ago even. Why does a simple question about when she will visit her father cause such a strong reaction? Unless whatever serenity she claimed to have reached by means of our talk, the previous evening has suddenly evaporated. Or didn't help as much as they thought or claimed. I'll be right back. Gotta visit the little girl's room. Amy gets up suddenly and leaves the table, leaving me and Mr. Brazaki alone. I'm a little conflicted. Should I go after her? Or should I stay here? It's obvious that Amy's departure was not based on the call of nature. Something's bothering her and I have to know what it is. How to go about it? Talk to her mom. Actually, this is the choice that matters for once, guys. Boop. Talk to her mom. There is an awkward silence at the table for one after Amy dashes off. I can't think of anything to say. Amy's mother sighs, breaking the silence. Sorry about that, Hisao. I sometimes forget that Amy's touchy about certain subjects. And I was talking about the wheelchair thing too. Should I go after her or something? Heavens, no. She didn't leave the table to continue the conversation, you know. But if she's troubled, shouldn't someone, try to help her? Huh? If it were anyone else, I'd say yes. But my daughter is stubborn as mule, and if she wants to be alone, it's best to let her be alone. Otherwise, she'd probably say something she'd regret, which would cause you to say something you'd regret. And I would prefer that dinner does that, with one or the both of you storming out of the house. If that were to happen, I'd be a terrible hostess, wouldn't I? I already acted as a fool once today. Huh? That's okay. I shouldn't have brought up the wheelchair, apparently. Mr. Brazaki frowns, clearly more bothered by Amy's omission than she'd let on. I wish she would do that. It just makes me worry more, you know. She does this often? What? Running off to the bathroom? No, I can't say she does. Keep injuries from her mother for, well, that's a little more common. Every time I catch her lying like that, she assures me that the only reason she didn't tell me is because it wasn't a big deal. If it's any consideration, I'm sure the only reason I knew about it at all was because I saw her every day. This elicits a dry chuckle from across the table. Mr. Razgi sighs a little sadly. Still hesitant about getting close to people, huh? I keep hoping that she'll get over that. It's funny, really. She's bounced back so well from the accident in so many ways. I guess some things never really go away. From the looks of it, the whole thing still bothers her too. She seems to be a little more willing to talk about the accident without Amy around for. Hey, I've got a question if it's alright. What else did Amy lose in the accident? I mean, the nurse said that she gets this way near the anniversary and she won't talk about it to me! So, you thought I'd fill you in, yeah, hopefully. I mean, if you mind, then don't, yeah. Well, there is a problem with that request, you know. Let me guess, you promised Amy that you wouldn't tell anyone she didn't want to know, and you don't know if she wants me to know, yeah. Something like that. I promised that she'd be the one to tell people the full story. Oh. Okay, isn't that important, Fo? I mean, it's clearly had a huge effect on her if she's still like this so long after the accident happened. Hisao, come on! That's true. It did have a long-lasting effect on her. There are a few things that she'll probably never really get over. For a moment, Mr. Razaki looks incredibly saddened, as if an old wound is bothering her. I suppose there are a few things I'll never really get over either. Another dry chuckle, and with a shake of her head, Amy's mother banishes the memory. Look, there's something you absolutely must understand about the way Amy thinks about the accident. What's that? It wasn't a big deal. Somehow I managed to keep my mouth from pulling open in a surprise, but it takes some effort. That has to be the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. I beg your pardon. Okay, maybe it's not that simple, but it's a pretty accurate summation. Amy believes that the accident did not define her, and that everything she lost that day didn't define her either. I mean, nice. She's not the girl who lost her legs. She's the fastest things on no legs. Her optimism and energy came out of that wreck without a scratch as far as she's concerned. Yet it goes beyond that, doesn't it? I mean, last night she told me that she refused to rely on me because it would make losing me too painful. Not really. You said she won't tell you about the accident, even though you've asked her about it before. The reason she won't talk about it when you ask is because to her, it's not something you absolutely need to know. Even if she wasn't terrified of getting too close to anyone, she still wouldn't talk about it. She's afraid of being close to me? Oh, goodness me, yes! For all the talk about being unscathed by accident, she's gained the ugly knowledge of how quickly it can all be over. So she's not going to let people get especially close to her, and she certainly would resent any implication that she cannot work through this on her own. But I don't think she can. Oh no, are you sure you've been dating my daughter and not somebody else? Trust me, Hisao, she could get through it on her own. I mean, but she has nightmares, can't sleep well, and she does this every year. Tell me, if she wasn't able to get through it on her own, do you really think she'd still be alive? She would have killed herself or something equally melodramatic. So, what, like, I shouldn't try to help her? I just say that I hate seeing my daughter like this, and knowing that she could rely on someone else would relax me. You just need to understand that accepting help goes against everything Amy thinks about herself and the way the world works. If you still want to offer her help, I guess that's your call. Honestly, I'd like you to, but it would be silly not to warn you that it's not going to be easy. You just need to be patient with her. She's already closer to you than anyone else she's ever met at Yamaku. Well, it sure doesn't feel like we're very close. Good! That makes this part easier! Abby's voice nearly gives me a heart attack. Whoa! Didn't hear you come back at me. How convenient! Wait, were you eavesdropping? Nope, just happened to come back at the right moment, I guess. Amy, Hisao just... Amy holds up a finger, cutting her mother off. Ah, on his way out of the house. Yeah, I know. Amy's trembling finger now, looking vaguely betrayed. Amy, don't be ridiculous. We're just... You promised! The pain carrying the last word is almost too much for me to bear. The idea that I could hurt her that much is like being kicked in the gut. Amy's mother looks similarly pained by the thought. And I kept that promise. Just listen, there is no reason to go throwing people out of the house. Amy's mother seems to be both angry at her daughter's outburst and embarrassed that I am witness to it. There is only one real solution to this problem, I think. It's okay. I'll go. No, that seems so unsaid. Don't worry about it. Thank you for dinner, Mr. Brazaki, and for the advice. It was my pleasure, Hisao. I'm sorry we didn't get to the desert. That's okay. I have to watch what I eat anyway. Good evening. Good evening. Have a good evening, both of you. The formality of our conversation, coupled with the fact that I'm getting ready to leave, seems to snap Amy out of her anger. No, wait, I feel so... I never lost that edge, son. You don't have to... I take it back, it's okay. I can't help but smile slightly. She can barely articulate her apology, and I really would like to stay. But I don't think I can right now. I need to think about what her mother said and about what I'm going to do about us. I don't risk accidentally getting Amy angry again in her current state either. No, I think I'd better leave. You seem pretty shook up, and, well, I don't even wind up trying to help you again. I know you prefer I didn't, so I'm going to leave instead. But, hey, it's not a problem. You don't want an iron on my charger, right? Just promise one thing, right? What? Don't be angry at her mom, okay? She was just giving me some advice, that's all. Amy nods hesitantly. Like this simple idea is all that she can grab on to at this point. She's so terribly off balance, but I can't do anything about that right now. Okay. See you tomorrow, right in the morning. Don't forget. I can see that I've hurt Amy by deciding to leave. But there is nothing I can do for her as things stand, and I know that she's too stubborn to admit that she wants me to stick around. I watch various emotions cross her face as she tries to process everything that's just happened. Shortly comes that calm look again, like last night, and that voice that tries so hard to sound careless. Sure, see you around. Both of us are unwilling to concede emotion at this point, and I'm having a hard time keeping up my facade, so I turn on my heel and walk out the door. I shut behind me slowly, pausing for a moment as the latch catches my hand on the doorknob. Did I make the right decision just now? Should I have stayed and tried to work things out? No. I decide. Not in front of her like that. In spite of everything, I'd rather keep Amy's mother insulated from the sort of anger that surfaced last night. Even though she's probably used to it, some protective instinct wants me to keep Amy's image as a cheerful girl intact. With a start, I realize my hand is still resting on the knob. I take my hand away, put it in my pocket, and head down the slowly darkening street. I let out a long breath when I'm back. The wait until tomorrow morning comes isn't going to be easy. In that case, I have to think on what to say to Amy. I must apologize, and I must get through to her somehow. On that account, something has been on my mind for most of the way back to my room. The letter of apology from Iwanako. I was so concerned about my new life when I received it that I didn't even bother to really read it. Now that I find myself in a similar position, my curiosity got rekindled. What did she want to let me know so badly? If nothing else, reading her thoughts might help me frame mine. I remember tossing away. Damn! Where did I throw that thing? I check under my desk, and that turns up nothing, so I look for harder to reach more unlikely occasions. Well, now I know where that last sock went at least. Still, no letter fall. What does he mean? It's when I try sweeping my arm under my nightstand that I feel something crinkly jump between it and the wall. Granted, with the effort, I reach for my prize and soon manage to bring it into the light. Bingo! I sit at my desk and spread the crumpled paper open. A flick turns on the table light. Skipping past the empty pleasantries, I look for the point where I stopped reading. Ah, here it is. There are other things I want to say. I'm writing to you because I felt that there are things I should have said after the incident back in winter. I regret that I wasn't able to say them in person, and I have no excuse for it. The truth is, the times when I visited you at the hospital made me worried about you. I'm not talking about your health. You seemed to become more distant and disheartened. It was natural after something like that happened, I'm sure, but somehow I got the feeling that you had given up on something back then. Happiness, maybe. Giving up on happiness. This sounds unpleasantly familiar. I want to somehow express my feelings, but the right words didn't come to me. I couldn't say anything to comfort you. I'm really sorry for not being able to support you when it mattered the most, even though I like you so much. At least now, finally, I can be more honest. If I could go back to those quiet days in February and March, I'd tell you not to give up on yourself. That's what I would say. Maybe you wouldn't have drifted so far away if I had just said something. I hope you've managed to get back on your feet on your own. Now that the distance between us is also physical, it also feels more final. Somehow I wonder if we'll meet again. Perhaps it's for the best if we don't. Still, if you'd like to cross paths with me, by all means, write me back. I'd very much like to hear about your new school and how you're doing. I wish you all the best. Sincerely, Iwanako. After finishing reading the letter, I smoothed it out carefully and set it aside on my desk. Thank you, Iwanako. I want to answer yes to the question that snowy winter day, but I never got to. But the time we met again, it was too late. Or so I thought. What would have happened if I had behaved differently back in that smelly, sterile hospital room? I'm sorry. There is no point in wondering now, but there is no point in trying to forget either. I am who I am because of all that happened to me and all I look forward to experience. Present, future, and past. And the past may just have taught me an important lesson now. Well, I feel like this game is teaching a lot of important lessons, and that's freaking crazy. Anyway, Act 4, Motion, will continue tomorrow, of course. For now, hope you enjoyed. Hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.